So far, we've seen 5 specials in Splatoon 3, with 3 of them being returning ones, and well, I'm willing to bet we're gonna get more than that. So today, I'm not only gonna predict which specials I think are coming back, but come up with entirely new designs for how they could work in Splatoon 3, using schematics from the totally real Sheldon, giving them the same treatment as we've seen for stuff like the Bubbler and Killer Whale. I'll also be doing a part 2 covering the brand new concept, so if you want to see that, subscribe. And without any further ado, let's get into the video. First up on the returning specials list, the Inkjet Mark II. Sheldon went over the Inkjet a good bit over the past 2 years, and actually decided to completely rework it, making it even bulkier and a bit easier to see. The main point of this design isn't just the increased power you get though, it actually adds a brand new function to the special. Some things about the classic Inkjet were just too good to get rid of. The recall, the amount of duration it lasts, the shot speed, and the movement speed aren't really changed between these two versions. With a bigger model comes some more powerful shots, with the damage from a direct hit being increased from 125 to 150, and well, because this Inkjet is so big, and actually a little bit easier to see, we had to make the exhaust a bit more strong to keep it up, which, well, unintentionally increased their damage from 0.5 to 0.75 damage per frame. Oh well, I guess we'll just have to leave that in. However, the main thing that Sheldon noticed about Inkjet is, well, it seemed a little bit too vulnerable when it wasn't being chained ink armor. And since it can't really get that in Splatoon 3, they decided to give it an entirely new firing mode. Using the sub-weapon button, you'll be able to do a small blast with a range of half a line that does 30 damage. What, that doesn't sound good? Oh, well, how about the fact that it pushes you away the same distance as a Gluga dodge roll, and the shot is 33% faster than a normal Inkjet shot. That might make it way more appealing. Alright, so that's the concept of the Inkjet, so what's the whole idea behind this? Well, a little bit more power just to help it match up with the other Splatoon 3 specials, but the main function is this new movement boost that you get. Obviously, using it will cut into the duration a bit, but it allows you to go significantly farther, especially if you use multiple of these in a row, or give you a way to dodge shots in the air. I didn't want to give Inkjet any form of armor, because I think that kind of takes away from it. It's supposed to be a high-risk, high-reward type weapon, but now you have a little bit more control, and just a brand new option to move around with. Since the sub-weapon button isn't used, this is just an add-on to the Inkjet that gives the user even more agency. I think a lot about the existing Inkjet works fine, but giving it a brand new look, some extra movement features, and a bit more power to compensate for the lack of ink armor being chained to it, I think makes it a much more independent and fun special to use. So, on to the next special. Sheldon wanted to look at Bomb Launcher next, however, it was just absolutely annoying having to make so many bomb launchers. He didn't really want to go through that again, so he decided to rework it a little bit, and now we're introducing the Bomb Launcher Deluxe. This brand new take on the bomb launcher is all about forcing you to have a little bit more variety when you throw things. Some unchanged aspects about it are the duration, and that your main weapon can still be used during it. There's one small downside to this brand new Bomb Launcher Deluxe. Like with Inkjet, it's a little bit bigger, but rather than just being visual, this one actually increases your hurt box to the size of Inkjet. Let's move on from that downside real quick though, because the main thing that we've added is a multi-use mode. When you use this brand new Bomb Launcher Deluxe, take a look at your D-pad. You'll notice that the top arrow will be linked to your Splat Bomb, right one your Suction, down your Burst Bomb, and left your Fizzy Bomb. There's no penalty for switching between these bombs. Sheldon learned this feature by talking with some friends from college. Anyway, there is one small caveat about this. You can't use a single bomb for longer than 3 seconds. You really gotta have some of that variety. If you don't switch automatically, it'll just rotate to whatever bomb is clockwise. So if you have a Splat Bomb, you'll switch to a Suction Bomb. If you have a Burst Bomb, you'll switch to a Fizzy, and so on. And there you go. You now have more options than you ever did before. What do you mean, what about Curling Bomb? No, we're not having a Splash Wall Rush. That's not even a bomb. Okay, Auto Bomb 2. Okay, yes, I know. I left out some... fine, okay? Bomb Launcher Deluxe, new funky mode. Because apparently, some people are just never satisfied, and every bomb has to have a bomb launcher. So fine. Since these bombs are a bit more niche, we're going to give you 7 seconds to use this bomb launcher, up from the original 6. Or 6.66 if you add Curling Launcher. On the top D-pad, you'll have Auto Bomb. On the right D-pad, you'll have Torpedo. Though to make Torpedo work on this bomb launcher, I had to slow down the throwing speed slightly. Basically, you could only throw half as many torpedoes as you could normal bombs. This also has Curling Bomb on the bottom D-pad, though they're no longer max size immediately, and the left D-pad is this new technology thingy called a squeegee. It eats ink for a while on a wall or surface, and then it'll explode with about the radius of an auto bomb. Keep in mind, like with the original Bomb Launcher Deluxe, you can only use a single bomb for 3 seconds, so make sure you're switching after a bit. Alright, so my personal main gripe with bomb launchers is that there's just way too many of them, especially those for the more niche bombs like auto bomb end up being mostly useless because it's only good in a few situations. Realistically, if bomb launcher were to be brought back, I think the main deluxe one I came up with is the only one that needs to happen, but if the fan base really wanted stuff like auto bomb to be in a bomb launcher, combining a lot of niche bombs into their own rush would make a lot of sense. I think this just adds a lot of variety to the bomb launcher. You can keep people from just spamming a certain bomb to pain a bit, gives more depth to the player base, and you know, Sheldon being involved in hero mode, it makes sense he would know that you can use the D-pad to change bombs and implement it into a new bomb launcher. I just think this concept fixes so many problems and makes the special way better. It's one of my favorites here. So I'm reading the script for this, and it looks like Sheldon, were you a bit lazy after coming up with some fancy designs? This looks like the same as Ultra Stamp, except it's just bigger. Well, I guess this is the Ultra Stamp 2.0. Honestly, Ultra Stamp already works incredibly well. It just needs to be a little bit better. Unchanged in this new and improved Ultra Stamp will be the one-hit kill hitbox, though they will fix an odd bug it had where sometimes it just doesn't seem to work. The general look of the weapon is about the same, and the damage of the outside hit will remain consistent between games. However, as you can see, this stamp is 10% larger, which will affect both the outside hitbox and the hitbox of the stamp that blocks opponent shots. While the initial changes are minor, throwing stamp got a massive step up. First of all, you can throw it 5% farther, and the travel speed of the stamp will be 10% faster. But that's not all. Instead of just only hitting once, the stamp has been made to, well, bounce, basically. After it lands, including if it hits a wall, it'll bounce and go up to 3 lines further. Though the stamp loses a bit of its power, so it'll only deal 90 damage if you get hit with a direct hit at this point. Also, making the stamp bigger kinda tires out the Inkling or Octoling using it, so the duration is decreased from 9 to 8 seconds. So as I've talked about before, I think Ultra Stamp is the best designed special in Splatoon's history, and it works pretty well. It has a fair amount of counterplay, multiple modes of use. Honestly, it kinda feels like a Splatoon 3 special in any aspect except the fact that it's a little bit weak, so making it a bit larger so it's better at protecting you, throwing a bit further, and has an even longer distance bounce poking tool based on, I guess, blob a little bit? Anyway, I think these additions give it the power it needs to compete with Splatoon 3 specials while still feeling like its good old Splatoon 2 self. Okay, so time to break script for a little bit here. There are 2 more concepts for returning specials to go over, but not only are they both kind of similar to each other because, well, their base specials are, but they're also both displacement specials, and Splatoon 2's biggest problem with its specials is that there's way too many of them that force the other team to move. To be clear, I'm not limiting the amount of specials that affect the other team, but things that force them to move out of position specifically. I don't really have a favorite between these two, so I'm gonna go over both concepts, and you guys can pick which one you want better in the comments, but realistically, just keep in mind that you would only add one of these to Splatoon 3 if this concept were to be a reality. Anyway, let's get into it. Introducing the MOABB, or the mother of all Booyah Bombs, a revamped version of the Booyah Bomb with an enhanced feature to help team play. The eyes have the look of ink armor, and there's some Dragon Ball Z aura effects. I wonder if that has anything to do with the changes. The duration and damage are the same between the 2 Booyah Bombs. Because of the brand new effect this Booyah Bomb gets, there are some changes that occurred. First of all is decaying HP. After the first 3 seconds, it'll lose 25 HP per second, and after 7 seconds it wears off entirely. I'll talk more about this later. This Booyah Bomb also takes 5% more damage from rollers, blasters, brellas, sloshers, rollers, chargers, and bows if the bows are low DPS. Booyahing no longer gives special charge to teammates, but it now leaves a glow similar to ink armor that lasts for 3 seconds. The new mode is an energy boost to teammates. While booyahing for the Booyah Bomb does give away your location, especially now more than ever with that brand new glow, it'll increase your swim speed, run speed, and ink resistance by 1 main's worth for those 3 seconds. So if you've seen my Splatoon 3 experimental video, this Booyah Bomb concept is incredibly similar, just more toned back. It's closer to the original Booyah Bomb with less changes, and the buff they give is less strong, lasting a bit shorter and not giving quick respawn. I think it's really important to give incentive to Booyah for a Booyah Bomb because A lot of times people just won't because they don't know what's happening, and B, special charge is not only a minor effect because it can only give a little bit, but it's kind of an annoying one that increases more special spam if it was strong. By giving a clear and easy to notice incentive, more people are going to Booyah for Booyah Bomb, which is great because that means you'll be able to charge it faster and not be vulnerable for as long. It benefits both sides. The class change is really just to make it more even between weapon classes at breaking Booyah Bomb. The main thing is the decaying HP that I haven't talked about before. Basically, the point of this is Booyah Bomb is actually really difficult to shred from far away, and Antenna missiles in Splatoon 2 are the main way you stop people from just sitting in the air with a bunch of HP and stalling an area by threatening to throw a Booyah Bomb there for the 9 seconds you could hold it. I don't want to get rid of Booyah stalling entirely because it's still somewhat cool, but having the HP wear off, including being completely gone for the last 2 seconds, mean there's a fair bit of downside that you can die during it. While I changed the Booyah in this concept less in the experimental mode, I think this is actually more fair and makes it feel closer to the original Booyah Bomb while feeling better for the people with a teammate having that special. The last concept in Sheldon's schematics is the Supreme Ink Strike, a refurbished one made to give the user more control. Both the duration and the startup and end lag of the special are completely unchanged from Splatoon 1. And there's only one minor change, which is that the radius has been increased by 5%, so it has a bit more of an impact when it lands. However, there are 2 new features for this. First of all, the map. In base Splatoon 1, you could see the screen and see the map on your D-pad. To emulate this, the map that pulls up when you use Ink Strike can be closed by pressing X. That way you can choose if you want to look ahead of you or look at the map, which will have an advantage because of the second feature. That being that you can pick a D-pad option to lock onto an enemy. You will only see their weapon, not their location. Using an entire special on one person is a bit overkill, so you better make sure you have a good reason to put that there. So like with the Booyah Bomb, this is also based off the experimental mode, this one being basically identical. I still felt it was a really good concept, and I wanted to go over it again because I think it really would make sense for a returning special. And that's all the concepts. If you were going to force me between the new Ink Strike and Booyah Bomb, I would probably pick Booyah because I like the team play incentives. That being said, I hope you enjoyed these concepts. I have 5 brand new concepts to round up with 15 brand new Splatoon 3 specials. So stay tuned to see that when it comes out, and I will see you all in a future video.